This is Mark Bell from supertraining.tv, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West, answering more questions for the Power Project, even on my freaking birthday. I'm 36 years old, getting fat and getting disgusting, and here we go. We got a question about the deadlift from DK off the YouTubes. DK Ricardos or Ricos or whatever the hell your name is. He has a question about, he feels like he's pretty powerful and pretty explosive off the floor in a conventional raw deadlift. However, once he gets right around knee level, he tends to slow down. He's wondering what the weakness is and what can be done about this. And I had my suspicions, so I checked out your YouTube. I stalked you a little bit, and I checked out some video if that is indeed you lifting. I only caught one video of you lifting with some straps, but basically what I saw was that you're a yanker. I hate to call people out, but especially on the YouTubes like this and announce it to the world. But DK, you, my friend, you were yanking it, and you were yanking it pretty hard. And one of the first things about yanking it is you're going to have to admit it to yourself. You're going to have to admit it to your friends. And you're going to have to admit it to your family. You know, one thing here is, how do you not look like an idiot wearing a beanie cap and sunglasses? Do you just pretend you don't look like an idiot and just rock it like yay? Or do you just look like an idiot? It's just the way it is. I don't know. Anyway, it's bright out here and it's cold, so I threw on a beanie cap. Couldn't find my ST hat. Anyway, you're yanking the bar. So you're yanking the weight, which gives you a nice little oomph, nice little kaboosh off the ground, if you will. Gives you some nice momentum, some nice explosiveness, and it feels good. But what you're doing is you're dumping a lot of that weight into your lower back, and by yanking the bar the way you're yanking the bar, you're pushing your hips back away from the barbell a little bit. And then what happens when our hips are away from the barbell, class? It makes it harder to lock out. I saw you in the back with the Free Hinzer shirt with your hand raised. Good job paying attention. Your hips get too far away from the barbell, the lift becomes a two-part movement, and then you try to scrape the legs along your fat, disgusting thighs, and it becomes very difficult to lock it out. So don't be a yanker. Don't yank on that bar. Learn how to pull it. What I would suggest for you is to work some repetitions in your deadlift. I would work both on deficit, and I would also work on blocks. Blocks and deficit pulls are very strange on what they actually work and what they actually teach you are strange, because you would think that if you were doing block pulls that would simulate like a lockout. And you would think that if you're doing deficit pulls, okay, it is a further range of motion. You would think this is going to increase explosive power from the floor. But they do everything. Both of them do everything. Both forms of those types of deadlifts. I guess you could even make this statement. Any form of a deadlift is going to bring up any form of other types of deadlifts, whether it be a stiff leg deadlift, a sumo stiff leg deadlift, whether you're doing sumo deadlifts and you're a conventional puller, or vice versa. So any sort of deadlifting is good. One of the issues with deadlifting is deadly. And so because it's deadly, you have to find some different ways. You have to bring in some new ideas so you don't kill yourself, so you don't rip a hamstring, so you don't blow out your back, so you don't blow out your O-ring. You got to do some different things here and there to make sure that you're continuing to make progress. So for you, here's what I'm going to suggest. I would suggest working on some repetitions. And when I say repetitions, anywhere between 3 to 6 reps. Maybe like for this next workout coming up that you're going to do some block pulls. Go off of about a 3-inch block. Kind of a lot of times anything more than the 3-inch block, just the range of motion gets to be a little bit too short, and you end up being able to lift a little bit too much weight. It really depends on how you're built and all that kind of stuff and your leverages, but I would go to about a 3 or 4-inch block, nothing higher than that. And I prefer block pulls over rack pulls. Rack pulls are done in a rack, hence the name, and the weights are kind of dead on the sides because they're resting on pins. In the case of a block pull, the weights are resting on blocks, hence the name block pulls. So when you hear people talk about a 3 or 4 inch block pull, they're not talking about standing on top of the block. They're talking about the weights being elevated upward, so the range of motion is less and not more. It's important to know that because sometimes you guys aren't paying attention. You're picking your nose. And so those are some things I'd like you to try. Try this week. Try 3 sets of 3 off some blocks, 3 or 4 inch block. Use the same weight each set. I don't know what your max is, but take your max and maybe knock off about 100 pounds and do 3 sets of 3. It might be a little bit easy. I don't care. If it's a little easy, then do a little bit more reps. If it feels like it's too hard, then go back to collecting stamps. But mix it up, go from one week to the next, maybe the week after that, maybe do some deficit pulls and work your way up towards a max triple. So it would just be 1 set of 3. And the following week, maybe do some regular pulls from the floor, but take 500 for a ride for as many reps as you can. Something along those lines. Keep mixing it up. Keep building. Build and build and build and build that foundation until the foundation is big enough to build something substantial on top of. You don't want to build a 1-bedroom. You want to build a 4-bedroom. And so in order to build a 4-bedroom, we got to build a big ass foundation and just a big ass in general. Okay, let's see. On to the next question. Let's see if we can sneak in another one. We got a question about, when to incorporate bands and chains. I hear a lot of people talking whether bands or chains are beneficial for raw powerlifting and this kind of stuff. This question came off of the Super Training Gym fan page. If you're not a fan, go check it out on Facebook. Jim McDonald does a great job posting up a lot of great videos up there and photos, so you're going to want to check that out. But we got a question. I think the guy's name was Richard Lucas, I'm sorry if I forgot your name, but anyway, he had this question, and he was wondering, is there a certain point where somebody starts to incorporate Westside, and they start to incorporate bands and chains? Is there like a number? He said, what if you're in the mid-4s? He has a friend that's in the mid-4s in the squat, and he wants to know, when this person should make a progression into trying some more advanced techniques. So what I would say is this: if you have it, use it. If you have it, use it. Have fun with it. This is a marathon, and it's not a sprint. This is a long process, and if you want to lift for a long time, you're going to have some fun. So you can't, it's hard to have fun when shit is so boring. So if you're just using straight weight week in and week out, and you're doing some sort of progressive overload thing where you do 5 reps one week, 4 reps the next, you go to do 3 and you only do 2, you go to do 1 and you miss 1, and you're pissed and you're sad and you cry and you eat Ben & Jerry's fish food, and then you repeat that whole entire cycle over and over again, you'll be out of this sport in less than a year. Seen it happen a million bazillion times. So let's not have you do that. Let's have you have fun, and let's have you realize that when you train with bands and chains, there is some great benefit to bands and chains, and there are some negatives to bands and chains. Bands and chains play a huge role when it comes to geared powerlifters. When it comes to raw powerlifters, it is still an amazing tool. It's still a great tool. It can help build explosive power, can help build acceleration. But one thing it does is it masks a problem that a lot of guys have in the bottom of their lifts, so the weights are lighter at the bottom and they are heavier at the top. So it's important to get used to both. You don't need to go too far one way or the other, but it's important to get used to both. Brandon Lilly's got the cube method rocking out there, and he's teaching a lot of people, try to bring things back to the old school, try to bring things back, use some barbells, use some dumbbells, and use some of the basics. And I agree with that 100%. However, there are some new and advanced techniques out there. So if you have access to them, why not incorporate them? Don't go overboard with them, and realize that if you're squatting 400 pounds and you have 200 pounds of band tension and it's supposedly 600 pounds at the top, but your best squat is 450, it doesn't mean that you're going to squat 600. What it means is that you built up some explosive speed, you're getting better with the band training, you're able to push through those bands, and good for you, congratulations. But that's just one type of lift. So you became efficient at that one kind of lift, and that's a good thing. Now you want to move on to something different, and that's what Brandon Lilly's trying to teach a lot of people out there, is to think for yourself. That's the entire reason for the Power Project, is to empower you guys so you can think for yourselves. So what should you use bands and chains? Sure, if you got them. If you don't have it, don't sweat it until you build up a little bit more strength. Work on getting them, and work on looking into how to purchase them and where to find them and all that stuff. RogueFitness.com has pretty much everything that you would need. And so hopefully that helps answer your question. But if you got them, use them. And that is it from supertraining.tv. Later.